IVM.
Hello, welcome guys. How's it going? Welcome back to another episode of IVM Likes. Thank you so much for joining all of us. Joining me on this episode, I'm Antariksh. I always forget to say my name in the beginning. Isn't that weird? Joining me, Antariksh.
Just like Joel and Tushar, how they up the beginning of the entire pod. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, I have. Why, they always mess it up. What is that a thing?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Man, they both are damn smart, man. Go check out Uncle Please Sit if you guys haven't. Anyway, joining me on this episode are Kaustav Banerjee. Hey Kaustav, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, bro?
Welcome back to the show, man. And joining us for the first time ever is IVM newbie Surohini Jain. How are you, Surohini?
Hi everybody, I'm good.
That's good. Great to have you on the show. Surohini has just joined our team as a producer, it's great to have you on. Last week we had Akhil on. Akhil is one of our new producers as well. We asked Akhil about where he had worked before this. He had worked at Republic TV. So if you guys want to listen to that part, you can go back and watch that. Listen to that episode. Surohini, what about you? Where are you coming from? What did you do before this? I heard you were in podcasting.
Yeah, I was working in podcasting only for an organization in Delhi.
Yeah.
And I was interning there for a year.
Okay.
And after that, I joined IVM as a content producer.
That's awesome.
But before that, I was studying in Delhi in Kamala Nehru College. I was doing journalism and mass communication.
Hey, wow. You done journalism and mass communication, man. Did you want to be a journalist at some point?
No.
No? But then why?
The nation wants to know.
No, not that. Absolutely not that.
So then how did you end up doing journalism if you didn't want to become a journalist?
So, I mean, it was like more of mass communication for me and not journalism part.
Cool. I get it.
Mass communication includes a lot of things.
Dude, that's totally fine. You're allowed to change careers after your graduation. I did architecture.
Our friend Antariksh also wasted a degree over here.
Dude, yeah, I did architecture, man. So pointless. It's all good. It doesn't matter. That's great. So can you tell us what company you work for, or would you rather not say the name?
Yes, I was. No. I was working for Mancho Media.
Okay, wow.
They have their own in-studio productions, and they also work for different productions.
Okay.
So I was working for a podcast they have that is Film Feud.
Film Feud?
Hi,
did you say Film Feud?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. It's like two films and you like a versus kind of thing. Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's like they pick one of the top 250, one of the movies in top 250 IMDb list, and they feud on that. One is pro the film and one is against the film.
Nice. So it's like a debate about a particular film. That's pretty cool, man. That's a good idea.
Yes.
Very cool. Nice. So, guys, if you're joining us for the first time, how an episode of IVM Likes works is in the first half, we give you guys some cool recommendations, something that we have recently checked out that we think that you guys should check out as well because we think that you would like it. So that's coming up in the first half. In the second half, on this episode, we are talking about other awesome podcasts. So this is a podcast about podcasts or an episode of a podcast about podcasts. Let's start with the first half of the show. Let's get to recommendations. Kaustav. It's your turn, buddy. Let's start with recommendations.
So the reason why I told you to ask her was because there was a background noise because there's construction going on over here. But anyway, coming back to my recommendation, I would really recommend. So I'm not too much into the mafia drug lord kind of a thing where I recommend every show.
You're not into the mafia and drug lords? That's good to know.
Hey, I mean the genre and whatnot.
Oh, okay, cool.
But anyway, maybe I am because every show I've recommended was something around Sopranos, maybe
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Anyway,
you recommended having a friendship with Shobhit Chakrabarti, Riya Chakrabarti's brother, which is also great.
Oh my God! For a while I thought you were talking about. No,
okay, cool. Go ahead.
He just got out of jail, right?
Yeah, man, dude. After 3 months in jail.
I feel so bad for him,
dude.
Bro.
Poor guy, man.
I mean,
dude, yeah.
Come on, एक डूबी क्या उसने कर लिया रहेगा जिंदगी में.
So I mean, who knows how much he did. But regardless of how much ever he did, और कितना भी खरीदा, dude, he's still. There are bigger fish to fry, dude. Who are you catching, man?
No,
this guy's a little kid.
This
guy's a little kid who's done nothing. Who's not harmed anyone. It's
It was
ridiculous,
all
dude.
political. He was just collateral damage.
Exactly, dude. Poor guy. And so
Yeah,
was Ria, right? I mean, it's sad
yeah,
that we are talking about it on this show, but yeah, even Ria was basically that. She was collateral damage
yeah,
because
absolutely.
she wasn't that big. Taking panga with her will become a problem for any news organization, and she wasn't
You're
that
right.
small. That and she wasn't a nobody. She was somewhere. She was like the
Absolutely.
perfect scapegoat that they got.
Absolutely, man.
But
But anyway,
yeah,
let's get back to our show. Let's not talk about that. That's
yeah,
depressing to me, to be very honest.
yeah.
But anyway, my recommendation for today is El Chapo Guzman Loera. Have you all heard about El Chapo?
I know the person. Is this the show?
There's a series on him. It's a 6 season long series, as far as I can
Six
remember.
seasons.
Yeah, six or yeah, I think six.
Oh wow! And how much of it have you seen?
All of it, but I've seen it like so lately I just got myself a little bit of time, free to watch something. So I just randomly went to an episode and watched it, which is why I remember it.
Okay, wow.
But El Chapo is my recommendation for today.
Dude, so I haven't seen the series, but this El Chapo's history and life is just so fascinating, dude. Of course, he's killed all those people. He's a big mafioso, all of that. But he has also escaped from jail twice, which is insane for like a drug lord or like a drug kingpin of his stature. It is insane that he has somehow managed to escape jail not once but twice, dude. Both times I think the Mexican authorities were just lax. One of them though, like I remember there was a footage of his cell in jail. His cell ka video was there where he goes in the video. Okay, in the CCTV footage you can see this. He goes and where the commode is supposed to be, right, where the pot is supposed to be. He goes and crouches down there. So he's out of view of the CCTV when he's crouching down on the pot. Okay, so he crouches down there and just doesn't come back up for hours. I'm just wondering, क्या इतना लंबा क्या भाग रहा है?
I think they
क्या
have shown that part as well. They've shown every bit of whatever happened back in the day,
Yeah,
and it's not just that he's the Lionel Messi of the drug world. You know,
yeah. He's the best at what he does, basically.
yeah, and you know how tall he is, right?
How tall is he?
He's Messi's height. That's the reason I called him Messi.
But wait, how tall is Messi? He's like 5'7" or something. Five. What?
I didn't measure it, but they are very short, dude.
Okay, no. But I want to know because I'm 5'7". So let's see what's Messi's height. Messi height 1.7 meters.
El
Yep, same as
Chapo's
me.
5'6".
El Chapo's 5'6". So okay, wow, I'm an inch taller than El Chapo. Yes, so may I have hope to become a drug lord still. This is great.
You have hope to get one extra inch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that also means I'll have to make, if I ever get arrested, I'll have to make the hole I get out of an inch larger also. No, wait, that's not.
That's what he said.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what she said. Nicely done. Okay. That's cool. So what's the series called again?
El Chapo.
El Chapo is the name of the series. That's it. And
Yep.
it's available on Netflix, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So also, by the way, fun fact. So he was sentenced life in prison. Where the real El Chapo.
Yeah.
Of course, the one. Anyway, he was sentenced life in prison for like 30 years,
Okay.
or he has to give 12.6 billion of his assets.
$1 billion.
So yes, billion with
How
a
much?
B.
How much money is he worth? That's also another interesting question.
Yeah, let me just
Uh,
check that out.
How much is El?
So the first capture was in 93, the second capture was in 2014, and the third one was recently in 2016.
Yeah, right now he's still in jail,
Amazing.
right? Isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, he's supposed to
Yes.
be an estimated $1 billion, but again, he's much more than that for sure. Because
Of
if
course.
they are saying $1 billion in the news, dude, this guy.
You know what's under the table, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So wow, man, this guy. So you're saying he was told to give back assets of worth $12.6 billion, or you go to
Yep.
jail for your entire life. Is that it?
Yep.
Oh, so he chose life imprisonment, and then I'll just get out of jail whenever I want.
No, but he did forfeit his assets.
Oh, he did that also. So why is he in jail now then? If he forfeited all of the assets.
Bro, so all the money that he bought, all the money that he had was because of the drug money.
Correct.
And he bought all his assets with the drug money. So under the entire law and whatnot, DA has the right to seize all the assets, right?
Correct.
The same thing happened with probably Malia, as far as I know. You got to forfeit your assets before you go to jail, I think. But then
But
again,
Malia's not in
you cut
jail.
a deal out. You cut a deal out to take care of the family and whatnot, and
Yeah.
a certain amount of assets are still left for your family. But anyway,
Like it's possible that they did have a Nirav Modi because I know he is in jail. But Malia
yeah.
is not in jail. This is only going by the Bad Boy Billionaire show.
And El Chapo started growing marijuana, by the way, and that's where he later on moved to cocaina,
Okay.
like they say.
Yeah, had the UN come out with the ruling about about cannabis
I
before
swear,
this,
he would have
El
stuck to
Chapo, yeah, exactly,
marijuana.
dude. He could have become a
And the
legal
whole
business.
Sinaloa cartel would have legit had a dispensary from every stop
Yeah,
to actually sell
correct.
marijuana,
He would just have to leave his home, escape
Yeah,
from his home when his wife is like not
and
letting him go out or
to
something.
be very honest, when they showed the grown this thing on Netflix, it looked like a majestic golden flower. I don't know what it is and how you do it and whatnot, but then again, it looked like a majestic golden flower. So whatever.
Oh wait, you don't know how to do it? Okay, fair enough, man. That's
Of
cool.
course not.
Oh,
Who do you
nice.
think I am, man?
Nicely done, dude. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
मुझे drugs दो.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Let's not do that on our network. That's someone else's
Really?
catchphrase.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay, cool. Very cool. Please, guys, check out El Chapo on Netflix. It already sounds very interesting. And man, I don't know how I missed this show. I'm not even kidding because I would totally watch this. So I'm totally gonna
you
watch it.
will love Chapito
Yeah, correct.
near the puta.
Yeah, very cool. All right, moving on
Come
to
on.
Surohini. Surohini, what would you like to talk about? What would you like to recommend?
Yeah. So my recommendation is The Queen's Gambit.
Oh, it's the new movie, right? Or it's a TV show?
It's a
It's a
series,
series. Okay,
new
cool.
series,
Yeah, about
Netflix
chess.
on
Am I right?
Netflix. Yes,
Oh, cool.
it's about a woman. It's actually based in the Cold War era. So it's about a woman who's a child who is an orphan, and she was introduced to the world of chess by a janitor, and then she kind of she wants to make it big in the world of chess, uh, which is actually dominated by men.
So she
So
becomes a like.
that's
What my understanding is that she becomes a hustler or something, no?
yeah. She was recently orphaned, and then she was moved to an orphanage house,
Okay.
and where she was given some drugs, which were like she took some drugs and which she
But
got
wait,
hooked up
but
to
wait.
them.
Did she go, "Mujhe drugs
Yeah.
do, drugs do, drugs do," or they just gave it to her? Oh, okay, cool.
No, that they were like, okay, yeah, take this. These are your pills, and take
Okay,
this.
cool.
You have to take this. There's no escaping here.
Okay, well, so they tried to keep her in the orphanage, like in this way.
Yeah. They did, and they were like, take this, and she got hooked up to them, and then she got adopted, and then comes the story that she wants to, she's going to the chess games, and
She's like a prodigy or something,
winning.
no?
She's not. I won't say a prodigy because she doesn't have, you know. Yeah, it could be a child prodigy. Yeah.
Wait, how old is the main actress? Like, sorry, the main character?
I have to see.
No, that's fine. Like, but like, is she like below 20s? Is she like a teenager?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, the story started when the story started. She was below 20. She was like a teenager, around 13, 14,
Oh,
14.
okay. So a kid, man. Oh, okay, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. So basically, it's a. So what I understood is it's kind of like White Men Can't Jump. Have you guys seen the movie White Men Can't Jump? Have you guys heard of the movie? So White Men Can't Jump was a movie starring Woody Harrelson and what's that guy's name, dude? The guy who played Blade in the Blade movies, the black actor who played Blade.
Oh yeah, Blade, what a movie, man.
Yeah, but
anyway,
what's the name of the actor? Wesley Snipes.
Wesley
Wesley Snipes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Snipes.
Yeah. Wesley Snipes.
Dude, look at how old he is right now, man. I mean,
Yeah, correct. But what I'm saying is I was talking about White Men Can't Jump, the movie. And that movie is about Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes being basically basketball players, like street basketball players, like, on rinks and streets and all. It's a huge scene in America. And over there, the rumor, at least back in the day, used to be that, dude, white boys, they can't really play. So when you're choosing a team from like random strangers, you will choose all the black people would go first, who would get chosen to the teams first, and the white people would get very like backtrack because again they say as the saying goes, white men can't jump is what the saying is. Woody Harrelson's character apparently turns out is an ace basketball player, but he's a white man, but he's an ace basketball player. So Wesley Snipes' character and Woody Harrelson's character, they come with a deal. They come up with a deal. The deal is that Wesley Snipes will go and try to hustle and try to pick fights or matches with other basketball players, with other like street basketball players, and they'll be like, okay, fine, you choose a player and I'll choose a player, and then Wesley Snipes' character would go, okay, fine, I'll choose the worst player here, who is the white person, Woody Harrelson. But Woody Harrelson can play. So then they would always win every match and then win all the cash money and whatever they bet on or something.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was.
Is it similar to Glory Road? If you see that movie,
No, I haven't
but
seen
the other way around.
I haven't seen Glory.
Oh, please do. If you,
Okay.
that's one more recommendation, by the way.
Okay, cool. So that's what my understanding is of Queen's Gambit, though. Is it kind of like this, where she says, "Oh, I'm not that good," and then turns out to be great?
No, she is very confident in herself. She's like, I am the best. I would beat all of them, and I would be like, I want to be there, and I'm the best. And her only enemy was this Russian chess player whom she feared, and she lost, I think, 2 or 3 games against him. And she was just like, the only time she was scared to play was against him. It was like that.
This is not. Sorry, Kaustav, what are you saying?
Is it the drugs that made her like the champ and whatnot?
Oh yeah, good question.
Probably yes, because it was shown that she's very
Addicted. Okay, so she has like
like
withdrawal symptoms and all that.
Absolutely. She had the.
It must be something like the mushrooms and whatnot you get out there. The ones that charge your brain up to the maximum capacity and whatnot.
It's kind of
if you've seen that,
like Limitless. It's like Limitless.
That was
the movie Limitless.
Yeah, Limitless. Yes, another good example.
Yeah. Oh, very cool.
So there was this scene where she used to while she's sleeping, she used to imagine a chessboard above her, like on the ceiling, and she used to play through her mind. Like she's playing against herself.
That must be some potent shit then.
I mean,
that's cool, man. Nice. And how old? This is a 2020 series as well, only, right?
Yeah,
like it's just released, like a few weeks back.
Just released, yeah.
Cool. I've heard a lot about it, man. Very cool. We'll definitely check this out. Queen's Gambit. Which, thank you so much for that. This is on Netflix. Please go and check that out, guys. Which leads me perfectly into my recommendation. If you all know, in India right now especially, chess has become really big. Right?
Yeah.
At least on YouTube, chess streamers have become like a thing now. And this is all widely due to a comedian called Samay Raina. Do you guys know Samay Raina? So he's like a friend of mine. And it's a lot. Okay. He's like a very, very funny comedian. He won Comic Stan season 2, if you guys know. He was one of there were 2 winners of Comic Stan season 2, Akash Gupta and Samay Raina was one of them. And so he basically has been obsessed with chess. I remember like we would be hanging out and he'd be like, "Arey, chess khelte hain," and I would be like, "Nah, man, I'm not. I wasn't that. I knew I would lose to him, so I was like, why am I gonna play and lose and then feel bad for the rest of the day?" But this guy became a chess streamer in this lockdown only. Okay, after the pandemic hit, he became a chess streamer because I'm sure he was thinking like, hell man, stand up is not gonna come back for a while. What am I gonna do? So he started streaming chess, and it has become huge right now. He is very big on the internet, on the Indian YouTube space, and he has like all these freaking collaborators. He has these professional chess players like Vishwanathan Anand, one of the greatest chess players in the world, has been on his channel multiple times, and playing, wait for it, Abish Matthew. So Vishwanathan Anand has played against Abish Matthew, and it's hilarious, dude, because Abish is terrible at the game, but somehow Abish makes like good moves somehow, and it's very funny. And so they recently had a thing called Comedians on Board, which is like a whole tournament where actual chess grandmasters are like professional chess players or people who play chess a lot and have like a certain level of skill with the sport. So they are called grandmasters. And so how they played these comedians on board tournament is they would get these comedians. They've got all these, like they already have all these comedians in India, right? Like Abish and Tanmay and Nishant Anwar and all the etc. So they would get these comedians and tell them they would get like a quick crash course in chess from these grandmasters. Okay, what are good openings? What are good middle points? What are good endings? How do you spread out your pieces and all that stuff. So they would get like a good quick crash course, and then after you understand chess a little better than you did before getting that quick crash course, you then go into a match with another opponent, and it's just a lot of fun. It would be Samay and another collaborator of his called Sagar Shah, who is another grandmaster and great at chess. They would be commentators on a match of chess, and they would comment really well. So like they really hype it up, like, oh my god, that's a blunder move. Oh my god, what is this person doing? Like that kind of stuff. It would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, comedians playing chess is
Yeah,
like
exactly. I mean,
whole lot
yeah,
of next level.
it's a very cool. I know Biswa, Anirban Dasgupta, Biswa Kalan Rath, Vaibhav Sethia, they are like very frequent. Abhishek Upmanyu, they are very frequent guests on Samay's channel, on Samay's live streams and all, just playing chess. So he's done very cool things for chess, dude. He has gotten like other like actual international Indian chess players, like who play internationally, who are known in the chess scene. He got them more recognition as well. This guy, this Samay Raina. So again, very cool to see. So he has like done like very cool things. They've expanded. They have a version of chess, which is a 4-person chess game. Okay, so it's like 4 players playing against each other, and it's an extended board. It's very cool. So that they've started something like that. One cool, very cool segment that he has on his channel, on Samay has on his channel, is the Omegle. Like he basically goes, you know what Omegle is? You guys know what Omegle is?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
Correct.
It's
Fair
a
enough.
stranger chat portal.
Yeah. So basically, it's a like it's a not safe for work stranger chat. It's like a very horny stranger chat where you go find people just naked.
Yes, well.
You know, it's one of those like chat roulette kind of a thing. Omegle. So Samay Raina, he has a segment where he goes on all these kind of sites. He goes on Omegle and tries to get the people there to play chess with him, with a random stranger on the internet. Okay, and it's so fun, dude. Every time he does that, it's so fun. I watch it, like I look forward to those videos. Okay, I just show them to my girlfriend, and when I had her, and when I had one, and so yeah, I know, right? So I just a lot of fun, very funny. And I remember initially when he used to like tell people, "Hey, you guys want to play chess?" They wouldn't believe him. Okay, and then you would be like, no, really, I'm a YouTuber from India. And then some people like, oh shit, you're a YouTuber from India, and I'm on YouTube right now. I don't want this shit. So they would leave because they're on Omega, dude. And then sometimes what would happen is he would like, okay, they'd be like, okay, fine, I'll play chess, and then you send them a link, okay, and they would think, oh, it's a link. That's kind of dicey. That's kind of shady. I'm not gonna press on a link that a random stranger sends me on the internet.
But yeah, that's true.
That's true, right? I mean, yeah. So now, but it's become like so a lot of that.
So even I got these links where women used to give me like, "Hey, you want to see me? Okay,
yeah,
come,
all of that,
link.
all that,
so,
spam shit. Yeah,
I never clicked it, but then again,
correct. So exactly, but this guy actually meant it. He wanted to just play chess with these people. Wow. And just get some content for the YouTube channel. So just very fun. Go check it out, guys. It's a lot of fun. His YouTube channel. That's some very cool stuff. So that's it. Shout out to Samay. Now Samay, come on Cyrus says. Okay. All right. That brings us to the end of this first half of our show. This is a very cool first half. Kaustav, what did you recommend, man?
What did I recommend? I forgot. Can you please help me out?
Yeah.
El Chapo.
Yeah.
El Chapo is what I recommended.
Yeah.
And Glory Road as well.
On Chapo and Glory Road. El Chapo can be checked out on Netflix. Surohini, what about you?
My recommendation was The Queen's Gambit.
Yep, also on Netflix. Please check it out. And mine was Samay Raina's YouTube channel, and especially the Omegle chatting with playing chess with strangers on Omegle videos. Thank you so much, guys. See you guys on the other side of this half. Bye-bye.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, don't you think it's about time you started? We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I wanted to kind of just give a quick reminder to everybody. As I mentioned up top, we are doing our annual listener survey right now. If you could please go and take a couple of minutes out of your day and fill it out, we would really, really appreciate it. It's ivmpodcast.com/survey. If you're comfortable giving us your email address, we'll enter you into a random drawing, and we're going to be sending out swag to a bunch of randomly selected listeners. So do definitely get on board that train. Let me tell you a little bit about what we did on the network this week. We launched a new show called Zindagi Diaries with Ragini Kumar. Many of you might have seen Ragini on television during the IPL. She's a presenter, but she's showing a different side of herself over here with a poetry podcast. Give it a shot, give it a listen. Let me know what you all think. Vishal Gondal is back this week after a while. He's been on an extended break, but he has Rahul Narvekar for the first episode. Really interesting conversation. Do check it out. Raji Samant joins Gauri Devidayal on This Round Is On Me. The two talk about the wine business and what's going on there. We had a number of conversations about the Farmers Bill and the surrounding agitation this week on the network as well. Maruk Inayat had a great episode on the note. Puliabazi did a deep dive into the issues around this. And on Siders, we have our typical, fun conversation about this stuff with a little bit of a seriousness, a little bit of fun. Do check that out on Cock and Bull on Thursday last week. Akash Mehta joined us for that episode. And with that, let me get you back to your show.
All right, welcome back to the second half of the episode. Joining me again are Surohini and Kaustav. Welcome back, guys. On this episode, we are going to talk about podcasts that inspired us to get into podcasting, or wanted us to get into podcasting, or basically how we got into podcasts in general, or what was the first podcast that we listened to, and what do we still listen to right now. So all of that, everything about podcasting, our favorite podcasters, why do we like them so much, why we like those podcasts that they do, all of that stuff. For this episode, I was just listing down all the podcasts that I cannot live without. Okay, like I look forward to episodes from these podcasts. There are about 11 that I cannot live without. Like I love these podcasts from the bottom of my heart till the edges of my bones. I don't know if that's a saying, but I love these podcasts. If I can start with the first one, is I'm sure you both have heard of this. It's WTF with Marc Maron. Have you guys both heard of this podcast?
I've just heard. I've never heard it.
Oh, okay. Which is damn sad. Surohini, have you heard of WTF with Marc Maron? What the fuck with Marc Maron?
No, I have not.
Okay, so WTF.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you have?
Sorry,
okay.
I couldn't comprehend WTF. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so it's the podcast called WTF with Marc Maron. WTF stands for what the fuck, and it's just Marc Maron is a comedian who. In the 90s, he had some level of fame. Like he's been doing stand-up for I think about 30 years now. But in the 90s, he had a certain level of fame, which then died down basically because if you're not constantly out there and doing stuff, at least it used to be the case. Right? If you're not constantly out there and doing stuff, actually even more so now. What I'm saying is if you're not constantly out there and doing stuff and putting yourself out there and putting material out there, people forget that you exist and you're also a good comic. So this is what happened with Mark. People forgot that he was a great comic. So at like a bottom, like a huge rock bottom in his life, I think the story is that he had recently just gotten a divorce and he was like really scrapped for money and all that because having to pay alimony and all that. So then he, out of like options, people weren't coming to his live shows because not many people knew him. So even though he's like a very respected comedian and a very good comic, people just weren't aware of who he is. So he started a podcast called WT with Marc Maron, where he was a very angry young man. Like he was addicted to drugs in his younger days, addicted to alcohol, all that stuff. Now he's been sober for like the last, I think like 13, 14, 15 years or something like that. And so Marc Maron started a podcast called WT with Marc Maron. And he would initially get guests on who he has wronged or who he has like had fights with in the back. Because he was a very angry comedian who he would like get jealous of his other friends or co-workers and like have fights with them or like be rude to them for some reason or whatever. So the first few like episodes, he would just get on people he knows who he has wronged or he has like fought with or he has like misunderstandings with and then talk it out on the pod in like a very heartfelt, in like a very cool, a very Marc Maron-y way. Because Marc Maron, if you go to his comedy stylings now, is very introspective. Like everything is like digging deep, peeling layers away from his own psyche and how he functions and all of that. It's a very personal stand-up he does. So he would get on these guests and then slowly the podcast started evolving where I would look for, I started following it, I think just out of college. So it was around about 8 years back or so, 6 years back maybe. So a while back. And I really fell in love with all the comedians he would have on his podcast. Like now he has like a whole diaspora has opened up to him where he can have like almost anyone. Yeah. Like, but dude, the biggest episode he's ever done is Barack Obama came to his garage to record a podcast with him, with Marc Maron. So that's huge.
Wow.
While Barack was still president, which is again crazy. Okay, not like after he left the presidency or something. He was still president. He took out time to come and record a podcast in Mark's garage because that's where he used to record the podcast from, the garage. And the story goes that there had to be sort of a day or two before that, the Secret Service had to come and then secure the place, make sure cover put up snipers on the neighbor's roof,
Right,
all
right.
that kind of stuff. So Mark was saying, someone asked him, your neighbor must have been pissed as hell, dude. He's like, no, man, my neighbor doesn't do anything. He's like, oh, wow, the president is coming, dude. Like, of course, it's a huge thing. Yeah, use my terrace. Go ahead, go put a snipers up there. It's all good. So people are like entering the house with like whole loaded guns and all, and it's fucking crazy. So yeah, Mark Maron had some great episodes. One of the reasons I fell in love with podcasting and I fell in love with stand-up was because of WTF with Mark Maron. I was a huge fan of stand-up anyway. I was a huge Chris Rock fan, but in particular. And I heard Chris Rock on the WTF podcast with Mark Maron, where Chris Rock basically has a very sincere talk about what his origins were and where he came from and growing up in a racist school and all that stuff. And it made me realize that, dude, these guys, the biggest comedian in the world, Chris Rock, is just another human being. Okay, he also started out somewhere. He also had to write his jokes. He also had to struggle. He also was wondering, oh man, am I funny? Am I not? All that stuff. Am I doing the right thing? What am I doing in my life? All that stuff. All these thoughts that we have, Chris Rock also had. So if Chris Rock can have these thoughts, then who the hell am I to even doubt myself? Yeah, you can do this shit, dude. Everyone can do this. If you work at it, anyone can do this. And that's what truly inspired me to become a comedian. I'd always wanted to do this. I just, you know how you don't have the courage to follow your passion kind of stuff. So that was kind of it. Chris Rock's episode. Another great, fabulous episode. Of course, check out the Obama one, the Obama episode. But another great, fabulous episode was done with Judd Apatow. Judd Apatow is a director and a filmmaker, if you guys know. He has been the producer of some of the biggest films like Anchorman, biggest comedies of the last few years, like Anchorman, like Superbad, recently he did a movie with Pete Davidson, the comedian from SNL. So Judd Apatow was on an episode of Mark Maron. Just quickly, I'll talk about that. Because Judd Apatow was basically doing a podcast before podcasts were a thing, where in his college days, much before he was known at all, he was also like me, obsessed with comedy. So what he would do is he would call up managers of all these big comedians comedians who were making it at that time, so like Jerry Seinfeld, Jay Leno, Gary Shandling. He would call the managers of all these comedians up and tell them, hey, I'm doing like a radio kind of thing. It was a college radio. He said I wouldn't tell them it was a college radio. I would just say radio because nobody's going to come to a college radio. So I would just say I'm doing a radio show and I would like to talk to Jerry Seinfeld. Again, before Jerry Seinfeld became the Jerry Seinfeld that he is right now. So Jerry Seinfeld would come to his dorm room and record a podcast. Not a podcast, record a radio thing. Radio conversation.
Yeah.
With Judd Apatow. And then years later, when Judd Apatow was doing the WTA podcast with Mark Maron, after becoming the Judd Apatow, he gave Mark permission to basically put out snippets or excerpts from from Judd Apatow's interviews back in the day, being like a 16-year-old, 14-year-old, 16-year-old kid talking to comedians like Jay Leno and Jerry Seinfeld and all those people. So check out these 2-3 episodes that I mentioned, and you'll understand why I love this podcast so much. I talked a lot about WTF Mark Maron.
I just saw the artwork for WTF, and of course I've seen him. Of course I know about this podcast.
Yeah.
Never heard it, but it's come under a lot of people's recommendations.
Yeah, of course. It's always, dude. So Mark Maron, Joe Rogan, Chris Hardwick, and the guys from Comedy Bang Bang. I'm forgetting the name of the people. So these people are like the early adapters of podcasting. Like they started podcasting before podcasting was like this huge thing that everyone wants to get into right now. Podcasting back then, nobody knew. People thought, "Are you're just wasting your time. What are you doing?" But these people had some foresight, dude. They had okay, no, this will become big, and this is a great way to build my own personal brand. So yeah, why not gain followers through that?
But I really don't understand how Joe Rogan does 3 to 5 hours of episode at a stretch,
Yeah, we'll get to Joe Rogan. For sure.
Yeah.
What about you guys? One particular podcast that you guys are huge,
I
huge
just mentioned one.
Joe Rogan, of course.
Dude, Joe Rogan. We have gotten to it. Voila.
Okay, take it. Let's just talk about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan Experience. JRE Clips. That's the alternate channel. He recently got a Spotify deal. Firstly, what did you think about that?
I love his artwork. Yeah.
Yeah, artwork is good.
I love.
Yeah, I like how whenever you play a clip on the JRD Clips channel, I love the cuckoo kaka, and then it goes into the clip. So you know what I mean?
Of course,
Yeah,
yeah.
cuckoo kaka. That chimpanzee, because he talks a lot about chimpanzees and aliens and all that stuff. I love that stuff.
I was introduced, like I was recently introduced to podcasting, like in like just after college in like 2018.
Okay, wow.
So my first podcast that I listened to was My Indian Life,
Okay.
by in like produced by BBC and hosted by Kalki
Okay, wow.
Kalki Kochlian.
Yeah.
So I actually I was hooked to that podcast just because of that the music that they used. It was one of the best musics I've heard for a podcast. I mean, it was so good. बहुत some music. It was like folk, Indian folk kind of music, and उसके बाद से I've started listening to podcast, and then
Well, it's called My Indian Life. Is that what you said?
My Indian Life.
Okay.
Yes.
And what does Kalki talk about on this?
So basically, she interviews, young adults, Indian young adults who are, in different phases of their life, and is just like somebody who wants to go to space, who wants to go into space, and he's working on that, and just some random people interviews, and she just talks about them, what do they do, what they want to do. It's an interview.
These young people who come on the show. They are professionals in what space? Like
so they don't have a particular. They don't have a similarity in all.
Okay, so okay. So like for instance, can you give us an example of like the kind of guests you would have on?
Like for example, just one second.
Okay, no worries.
So basically, it's there. For example.
Also, is this still an ongoing podcast, or is it right now like has it stopped now?
No. It has stopped. It has stopped. It stopped in like January 2020. So the recent one where she interviewed. So the recent one she interviewed Gadadhar Reddy. He was the first human on Mars, Indian, and so he's working on the technology that
he was
him
first Indian on Mars
again to the Mars. Like he's into like he wants to go into space and stuff like that. Yeah. So he was he's working on that technology. Man. So she interviewed him. Yeah, astronaut. Yeah.
Okay,
sorry, forgot that.
That's amazing.
That's what.
For the word, it's cool.
So there are a number of interviews. Yeah, there are a number of interviews that she takes of number of people in diverse kind of fields and in their lives. And I mean the music. I think you guys should hear the whole template of that episode, and I mean it's so good.
Wow, very cool. I think we should go back and listen to that. My Indian Life with Kalki Kochlian. Very cool. We were talking about the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yes.
Before that, I met Kalki in my college library once. The entire library was booked just for her.
Was she doing research on a role or something? What is this?
I don't know, man. But KC Library.
So then you met her or you saw her?
No, I met her. So I'll tell you how.
Okay.
The entire library was empty just because she is there.
Correct.
And the security was busy shooing other students off. So I didn't know that there was like this thing over there. I just walked in and I just saw just one person over there. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just go sit next to her. And apparently she's Kalki Kochlian and she's like, hi, and I'm like, hello. And then I realized, oh my god. I didn't even see her before sitting over there. I sat and did my own thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking at her and I'm like, wow, who the did I sit right next to?
So
then again.
So everyone says Kalki Kochlian, right? Because that's how it's written. But do you know her actual presentation of the actual pronunciation of her pronunciation of her last name is Kalki Kekla.
What?
Yeah, not even making that up. Look this up. It's Kalki Kekla with that spelling, correct? You know how we know this? I think on an episode of IVM Likes, at some point, someone had brought up something that Kalki Kekla did, and her representative, like her PR person, made Kalki record a thing on her phone and sent it to us via mail on IVM at IVM. So that's how we know it's Kalki Kekla. So then after that, since then I have noticed
Sorry.
on like other shows, they also say Kalki Kekla because I'm sure like they're trying to be particular about this. But
Yeah.
yeah, interesting, no? Just what a random
So
pronunciation.
Kalki
So why
Kekla, my Indian
Cochin?
name.
Yeah, crazy.
What is Cochin then?
There's nothing. Cochlin is the way it's written is Cochlin, but the way it's
Pronounced like
pronounced is
that?
Kekla.
Okay, so is it like in Tamil or Malayalam or something like that, or
I have no idea.
why is it? Oh,
Yeah, I just remember her explaining it the way like it's Kalki Kekla is like okay, there's a cake and bring it. So Kekla.
oh.
That's how this says it. Uh,
Making jokes are comedian.
no, this is something that literally like her team sent to us. This is not even something I'm making up. Just like a random factoid, guys. Let's just if you can continue talking about Joe Rogan for a bit more.
Yes.
There is so many cool things that Joe Rogan has either got me interested in or made me realize that it's okay to be interested in these things. Uh, like firstly, dude, I used to love reading about aliens, and then after a few years, like after a certain few years, I just stopped looking stuff up, or I just stopped being as interested. And then recently, I have gotten way more interested than I ever was again because of certain episodes of the Joe Rogan podcast. Like recently, I watched the Dan Aykroyd episode. Dan Aykroyd is a comedian who wrote the Ghostbusters, the movie. He was a host of
Right.
on Saturday Night Live. He was a host of Weekend Update on Saturday Night Live for a while, and I think I've already talked about that particular episode on this show, on another episode of the show. So I won't waste too much time on it. But Dan Aykroyd was amazing, dude, because he knows like these like people have alien sightings all the time, but none of them are taken for anything. They're not taken for face value because you can't prove it. There's no proof. Nobody has an actual image. If there are images, they're like half blurred. You can't tell. It could be something else. All that kind of stuff. So there's no actual evidence that there are actual aliens or there aliens have actually visited our planet or whatsoever. Or something like that. So Joe Rogan had Dan Aykroyd on. Dan Aykroyd, he knows all these incidences and the dates they happened and all these people by heart. Like he doesn't have to like look these up like how we are doing right now, like, oh shit, what is the name of that actor and all that. So this guy knows all these people. Dan Aykroyd, he's basically retired from showbiz at this point, and this is how he spends like his retirement, where he just talks about crystal skulls and talks about finding underwater aliens and aliens in general and flying saucers. He talks about 4 different instances where he feels he has encountered a UFO or what have you. So very cool. So that's one. Another episode was about with Commander David Fravor, who talks about he and his Navy pilot team, like his team of Navy pilots on a patrol mission. They encountered like a thing which has since come to be known as the Tic Tac Incident, which is like a so if you go and look for it on YouTube, it's like just search for the Tic Tac UFO incident, and it's a radar. It's the footage of a radar screen of on a UFO of a fighter jet,
Yeah, I've seen.
capturing this tiny tic tac shaped tiny object, which they say is an unidentified flying object.
There are.
And then the Pentagon came out. The Pentagon came out and said, "Okay, yeah, that is true. The footage that is this object that you see is an actual UAP. That they have made it to stand for unidentified aerial phenomenon, because if they
Okay.
say it's a UFO, then it just implies like people take it to mean aliens, which we don't really know if it's that, but it's basically a UFO, dude. It's an unidentified flying object. So he talks about that footage and he breaks it down on the Joe Rogan Experience, which is great. So
Apparently, on WikiLeaks, there are claims that that's a fake footage.
no, 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 no.
There are claims,
I
but
don't, I don't, I don't buy
you
them.
never know what the entire scenario is.
Yeah, yeah.
However, you remember once there was a small mini earthquake recently in Mumbai itself?
When during the lockdown?
Yeah,
I don't remember this.
there
Yeah,
was a
I think
very
4.3 Richter scale.
Were there rumors
yeah,
around
yeah,
that
yeah.
the aliens
There
landed?
was
Yeah.
no. So I was at my rooftop
No,
having
that
a
was
smoke, and
the
here I was thinking, what is happening? And for a while I thought it was thundering. Okay, because it was rainy season back then, I think.
Yeah, okay.
But then in the news, and the very next day I realized, oh, it's an earthquake. And before that, I was thinking, oh, probably it's alien invasion.
Yeah.
What am I getting into? I got to rush back to my house.
You know,
You never know.
yeah.
It's very scary,
Uh,
at 5:30 in the morning
Costa,
when there's no one around.
Costa just said I was on my terrace and there was an earthquake, and I'm just imagining like his building throwing him off the terrace while it's shaking.
Yeah, you would want me to go away, wouldn't you?
No, it's fine, dude. You're an alien. You can still survive.
I always picturing myself like, that UFO comes and I fly through it and they just capture me and kidnap me and whatnot and all
Oh yeah,
that
imagine
crap.
that. The building throws you off, but then the UFO catches you midair. Great. What's
I'll
up?
be like, thank you, bro.
Perfect. So yeah, a lot of great episodes of Joe Rogan podcast. I watched almost every single episode that a comedian has been on. I've seen the Andrew Schulz episode multiple times, the recent Mark Normand episode multiple times. Bill Burr is a great guest and a frequent guest on the show.
Of course.
So just love Joe Rogan podcast. Please check it out. And he landed a Spotify deal, which got a lot of flack because it was a huge deal. But then it seemed like they was like censoring him, and there were like internal problems with Spotify employees who wanted to censor the Joe Rogan podcast and the things he talks about, which wasn't the deal. The deal apparently was just a licensing deal. Okay, for a particular number of years, you get exclusive rights to my podcast with like a payment, like it's a licensing deal. So he had like a very good buyout or something like that. So again, more power to Joe Rogan. And if they are not making him censor anything, because Joe Rogan said that Spotify hasn't told him anything about censorship. So if they're not making him censor, more power to him. Go at it, man. Why not? Why not get that money? So good for him. So yeah, that's two podcasts, two of the 11 podcasts that I really want to talk about, but we don't have that much time. So I'm going to talk about just a couple of more. Any more podcasts that you guys are like huge into?
Not huge into, but yeah, I do have an occasional listen to the stuff you should know. So
the stuff you should know.
Pretty much like informative stuff. It's obviously it sells. So then again,
okay.
You guys should check that out. Yeah, I think that's it for my end.
Okay. Surohini, you were saying?
So there's this recent podcast. I won't say podcast, but an audio show.
Yeah.
By Sikha Entertainment. That's the name is The Big Shots. With the Big Shots, Dosa King. So they are so they're basically releasing a 12-part audio film
about dosas
show. No. It is about the owner of the Sarvana Bhavan restaurant, and
where is this restaurant?
It's all over world.
Oh, it's in Bombay also?
Yeah, I think it's in Bombay also.
I haven't.
And the show is basically about this entrepreneur P. Raja Gopal, who is the founder of Sarvana Bhavan, and he was into a scandal, and the show is about that, from his rise to his fall of scandal. It's a 12-part series, and it's like अभी तक सिर्फ 2 episodes release हुए हैं, तो काफी अच्छा है वो.
Wow, very cool. Ah, nice. What's it called again? Dosa King, what?
The Big Shots.
The Big
Dosa
Shots?
King.
Dosa King is the person they're talking about.
Yeah.
Is that way? Okay, fine. Oh wow, damn cool. Yeah. And what's the restaurant called again? Is it a good restaurant? Have you been there?
Yeah, it's a good restaurant. I've been there. Sarvana Bhavan.
Sarvana Bhavan.
If I'm
Where is it? Is there one in Bombay?
It's in Delhi. No, I don't know. I'm not sure about Bombay, but it's in Delhi. It's like they have many outlets in Delhi.
Okay, cool. Okay, one quick question. Since you're in Delhi right now, will you be moving to Bombay at some point once the lockdowns and all this stuff ends?
Yeah. I will be joining you guys in Bombay.
Cool, man. Very cool. We'll be excited to have you back in the studio. So one quick thing that I will talk about is a very unique concept for a podcast. It's called Kill Tony. Okay. Again, I don't think either of you would have heard about it because it's not that well known, but it is for the most part #1 live podcast in the world because it's shot in front of a live audience and it's released as a podcast. Kill Tony basically. So you'll see a pattern. Most of my podcasts are comedy oriented. Okay, they're like comedy podcasts. Most of podcasts I'm obsessed with, at least, are comedy podcasts. Kill Tony is hosted by Tony Hinchcliffe, who calls himself the next big rising. The young big rising comedian or something he calls himself, which is like an inside joke. So it's hosted by Tony Hinchcliffe. So it's called Kill Tony. and the co-host is Brian Redban. Co-host and producer is Brian Redban. Brian Redban was the original producer of the Joe Rogan Experience also. And Brian Redban has a podcast network called the Death Squad network, Death Squad, and Kill Tony is on the Death Squad channel.
How ironic! Kill Tony on Death Squad.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, very cool. So that's what Brian Redman used to do all of Joe Rogan's video work before he became podcast producer and became his podcast producer, all that stuff. So very, very cool, very respected person in the space. Kill Tony basically is Tony Hinchcliffe and Brian Redban, and there is a band which the band consists of other two other comedians and one musician. Actually, now it's 3 comedians and 1 musician. Jeremiah Watkins is the band leader. Hilarious comic. Joel Jimenez is another hilarious comic, who is the drummer on the thing. And then there are 2 other comics. And Kill Tony, basically, Tony Hinchcliffe calls 2 of his, sometimes 3, but mostly 2 of his other big comedian friends. Okay, so like Russell Peters has been on the show, Bill Burr has been on, Joe Rogan has been on, Dom Irrera, Whitney Cummings, Sarah Silverman, Doug Benson, like a lot, Marc Maron, a lot of big comedians have been on the show. Almost every week, Mark Normand has been on, Ari Shafir, like Tom Segura, all these huge comics come on the show every week. The podcast comes out every week, every Monday. And basically, these guys are the panel. Okay, so the panel consists of Tony Hinchcliffe, Brian Redban, 2 other established comedians who know what they're talking about, and a band. Okay, that's the panel. And then there's a bucket of names where comedians, up and coming open micers, have dropped in their names in that bucket, and their names are pulled out or into the hat. Their names are pulled out at random from the hat, and if their name is pulled out, you have to come on stage and do a 60-second set, like a 1 minute set, a 1 minute of jokes you have to do on stage in front of a live audience, in front of all these comedians. And then after your 1 minute set, they talk to you about anything. So you're like the open micer is basically,
it's like impromptu or like
no, you have to obviously, like, it depends. Some people do whatever you want your 1 minute to be, but basically, like, it's all impromptu because everything around that 1 minute is impromptu.
impromptu, right?
So like some comedians have seen like murder and destroy, and their lives are set, or like they get like gigs after like just 1 minute of killing on Kill Tony. And it has happened multiple times. And then some comedians will like just bomb mega hard, and then all these comedians on the panel will just shit on them for like the next 5 minutes. Because after your set, you have to talk to the panel. After you finish your set, you have to talk to the panel. They interview you basically. So you, as an open micer, are a guest on this really popular podcast. They're asking you what you do other than comedy, where are you from, and all that stuff. Are you single? Are you married? Or what are your parents like? All that stuff. What is the craziest thing you do in life? All that kind of stuff, and they get material out of it. So very often they'll help you with your set. If they somehow felt, okay, this joke would be better if you said this, or this joke would be better if you went in this direction. So they give you feedback on that also. But very often it just comes down to shitting on these comics who have just bombed for a minute. But it's just the funniest thing, dude. So I love Kill Tony. Please check out Kill Tony. And I think that's about it. I think this episode has gone on for quite long. Anything else that we like to talk about? There are enough things that I would like to talk about. There are podcasts like the History Hyenas podcast or the Good One podcast. The Good One is a podcast about jokes where they break down jokes and all that stuff. So I have like multiple podcasts. Getting Doug with High, Doug Loves Movies, which is Doug Benson's Doug Loves Movies podcast is a great podcast again about movie trivia and like, movie games and all that stuff. So there are a lot of podcasts that I missed out, which I'll get to at some point on a later episode. Anything else that you guys would like to talk about before we end this episode, guys? Okay.
No, I think we're good.
Okay, thank you so much. That's a great answer. Normally on a podcast, when people say any last going messages, guys, yeah, guys, I have this last message. Do well, be prosperous, be happy, and be kind. Is something like what people usually
No, so in case if I don't come on the next episode of IVM Likes, I would like to wish my listeners a very happy and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well.
Yes. Yes, very true. Wishing a very happy holiday season and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all our listeners. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for joining us this year. This has been a weird year for everyone. So it means a lot that our listenership has gone up by so much, and it's just such a joy to see that we are providing something people actually look forward to listen to. So thank you so much, guys. I'm Antariksh. You can follow me on Instagram at Antariksh. Surohini, where can people follow you?
Surohini Jain at Instagram.
Okay, and Kaustav?
So you all can find me on Kaustav _1307 at Instagram.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. This has been IVM Likes. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
जिंदगी डायरीज के पन्नों में कुछ पुरानी यादें, समुंदर किनारे झूमते दरख्त, जवान दिल की धड़कनें और अनजान मुलाकातें हैं। तो आइए खोलिए मेरे साथ जिंदगी डायरी के पन्ने और साथ ही खुलकर जीते हैं जिंदगी। आप सुन सकते हैं जिंदगी डायरीज IVM पॉडकास्ट ऐप या वेबसाइट पर, या जहां कहीं से भी आप अपने पॉडकास्ट सुनते हो।
How aware do you think you are of your laws and rights? Do you look up to laws when you are caught up in situations? Do you know what your rights are when you're stuck somewhere bad? Well, here's a show that can help you move an inch closer to being aware of what your rights are. Tune into Know Your Qanoon with me, Raina. This is a podcast meant to answer all your law-related queries. Catch Know Your Qanoon every week on the IVM website or the app or anywhere you get your podcast from.